All right, everybody, how's it going? Fishing California with EBA out here, Eastbayanglers. We're talking about fishing California. Today we're going to focus on House Reservoir, located in the Crystal Basin Recreation Area, El Dorado County. Above that, in the Eastern Sierras, nestled is House Reservoir. It's an old fishery, opened in the late 50s, like 58, 59, 60. You know, these were the years of which this was just open to the public, and campgrounds were just made. Today we're going to talk about this lake: recreation, fishing, camping, you name it. We're going to talk about the top 5 worst things when you go to House Reservoir. You know, lots of good things that we can talk about when it comes to this place. But right now we're going to talk about some of the things that are the worst parts about House. And a lot of things have changed since this opened. A lot of things have changed since I was up there in the 80s and 90s, a lot. Spending 2 weeks at a time until I finally, you know, spend even more time up there. As of most recently, I live very close to that area. So House Reservoir, top 5 worst things about this particular place: to camp there, fish there, recreate there, hike there. Let's break it down. Number 1 is going to be the insane rise in price. So the cost of camping since just last year has doubled. The cost of the wood is doubled. The cost of, you know, day use has risen substantially, somewhere in the 20 to 25% margin. So the cost of everything has risen. Obviously, you know that right now the cost of going to get eggs, not cheap. The cost of going to get milk, water, ice, this, that, all the little things you need to go camping, very expensive, getting more and more expensive. And I don't see any justification. They did add new fire pits. They did add new camping tables, picnic tables. The other ones were kind of wore out, you know. The picnic tables, the pits were okay, but now they've been replaced with new campfire pits, and you've got new tables to, you know, put your stuff, eat your dinner, all those things. All right, so that's the negative for me. We could have kept the old tables and had the old rings and half the price. Let me take half the price any day. So the second thing is they've actually done, you know, kind of a catch-22. So they used to have a road before you go into House. On the left, you had a road you could go around the lake, and you could go like you're going to Wright's Lake, but you'd actually go on the west end, or the northwest end of the lake. And this would allow you access to a lot of areas and all that. And they recently have actually paved that road. Real catch-22 for me, because on one side of it, you know, flip coin, one side of it, you know, everybody's going to be going over there. The access to get over there is now available to everybody, whether you're in 2-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive, whether you know the area, don't know the area. A lot of times what would happen is people would turn around, it gets a little rough, gets really rough, gets narrow, and it's, you know, wasn't maintained. So big up for me getting away from people when I don't want to be around lots of people. That was a place to get away. It was a place to get on certain locations that were less pressured, less fishing, less recreation, less swimming, less you name it. So you get out there. That's all changed. Now it's a lot more people, more recreation, and that's all due to that being paved and that entire access being now accessible. Now, in one particular case, you know, in one sense, this is kind of like a positive for certain people. Certain people are going to be able to access now areas they weren't able to in 2-wheel drive. Certain people are going to get to go on a little adventure, and it sure is nice over there, guys. Here's the downside, is that you know, you're gonna have a lot more traffic in there. You're gonna have more fishing, more recreating and swimming, and more garbage. And there are a lot of sites now, or spaces to park in. There's bathroom facilities, which I would say is the big benefit. You know, bathroom facilities for the disabled people, for people in wheelchairs, You can get to those areas, you know, you can go and enjoy that to some degree, which is awesome. So for certain people, disabled people, I think, you know, it really allows more access, gives you a place to go. Once you get to Ice House, you know, those roads were rough. Here's the thing, all of it was done for the new camp. There's a new camp, you know, summer camp for the rich kids. No, rich dads, rich people, whatever. They got their kids. They're going to send them off to summer school. They built a second one. This one's really big. And so, you know, they paved the roads for them. Not you, not me, and not so you could recreate or I could recreate, but so the rich kids could have fun. That's great. So the big thing that I want you to take away is that, you know, Ice House was a tremendous fishing lake. It was excellent fishing. It was a great fishery. It had, you know, numbers. It had size. It has rainbows as well, rainbow trout as well as German brown trout. Now, it's a great fishery. Catch a lot of fish there. As the years have went on, unfortunately, the third thing we're going to talk about is the decline of planting, and obviously the lack of managing and the mismanagement of the fishery, the reservoir, Ice House. So, you know, the fishing is not what it was 20 years ago, 30 years ago. It's not what it was 5 or 10 years ago. The fishing has been at a steady decline every year for the last 30 years, 40 years. It's been absolutely destructive. So if you're going to Ice House and you want to catch fish and you remember limits, I'm not saying you can't get a limit. I'm just saying the fishing is very difficult. And it has a lot to do with the lack of plants, the pressure that it gets, the lack of plants, and the lack of managing the actual fishery. And so that's really what it comes down to. Some people that aren't, you know, too caught up with going fishing. So if you're not like, oh man, I gotta go fishing, you know, we can't go up there if the fishing sucks, maybe Ice House isn't the place to go. I know a couple lakes that try Mammoth Lakes. It's a series of lakes: Convict, Crowley, Mammoth. Check them out. They're all like really top notch, high, you know, big plants, lots of fish. So if you guys don't care as much about catching lots of fish, then it's no big deal. But one of the things that I've really been noticing, this is going to be the fourth issue, the fourth thing that I really don't like about Ice House Reservoir. The next thing that, worst thing about that particular place is when you go there and you're going to camp, right? Say you're camping and things of that nature. You know, it's pretty simple. There's not enough sites. And if there were more sites, it would take part of your experience away. And there are 3 campgrounds that are on the lake. Each is in a different section. So, you know, the more popular of them are going to be the main area, the main campground, and the back campground, which is near Rainbow Point. So, you know, as far as you know, my experience in 35 years, 40 years of going there, I've been going there my whole life. So it's pretty simple. You know, you got to have a reservation unless you want to be disappointed and end up getting there. And there's only, I think, 3 or 4 spots available for first come, first serve now, if I'm correct. 3 to 4 spots is not a lot, guys. So you guys get up there without a reservation and it's going to be a bummer. Sometimes, you know, it can really affect the trip. So just having a decent campsite, not being surrounded by the bats, not having necessarily, if it's summertime, fall, having all the bugs in your way where other people have lake, you know, access right there with maybe a lake view and all these other things that you would like. So get a reservation. That's the thing I don't like about this place is it gets too crowded. There's not enough spots. Like I said, more spots equal a different experience. However, getting a spot, a campground that's, you know, not the worst one in the entire campground, you know, is a big thing. And the last thing we're going to talk about, guys, is really, obviously I don't like the management of the fishery. I don't like the lack of the plants and things of that nature. But I really don't like the way that they have decided to go about, um, as far as we were just talking about, you know, we're we're kind of talking about how there's not a lot of room. Well, now there's with that new road being created, there's catch 22, a lot of room on that northwest end if you follow that road, for day use, but that does not include camping. And when you go there to camp, my thing is you're probably going to have a tent or a small trailer, maybe a small motorhome. And if you guys are going out there with those things, you want to have a nice campsite that accommodates those things and allows you to have the best experience possible. So, if you're tent camping, you can get away with quite a bit. But if you have a big tent, the bigger the tent, the more difficult it is to find a site that's going to really fit your needs. As far as a small trailer, uh, less sites available. There's less sites that are really going to work good for you to get that trailer into, to back it up well, and to have the space you need. Small RVs, yes, small RVs. There are a couple spaces, and when I say a couple, I mean a couple. So we're talking a few, 2 or 3 per campground. You're looking at 6 to 9. They're reservation only. You need to reserve them. If you're bringing a trailer that's of any size, anything past 17 feet, you absolutely need to reserve a spot. If you're going up there with a big motorhome, you might not get in their campgrounds very well with your big motorhome. It might be a nightmare situation. I would recommend going to Union Valley. They do have some accommodations for those larger trailers, those larger motorhomes. Union Valley is not very far. It's about 11 minutes, 10 minutes further to drive up the mountain, and you can get to the South Shore areas. There are the Jones Creek campground. There is the actual campground on the Sunset Peninsula, which has, I believe, 2 or 3 campgrounds. Two or three right there on that. It's a massive strip, massive peninsula. And of course, if you want to go further, you've got the Azeel campground, the Wolf Creek campground, the Camino Cove campground. And then you can camp anywhere you want off the road. So if you guys are driving up there, it's late, and you just want to get some sleep, sometimes it's better to pull your rig off the side of the road, totally legal, public up there, sleep on it, wake up, figure out what you want to do. Sometimes going up there, things don't always work out the way you want. You're going to need supplies. There's a store right down the street from House Reservoir, but I want to tell you guys, don't count on this store, because this store is usually out of what you might need. If it isn't out, you'd be surprised how difficult it is to get whatever you want up there. So if you have a particular beer you like, or if you have a particular brand of cigarettes, or if you need a particular fuel, and a fuel that'll work well, say a starter fluid for the fire, or that type of thing, guaranteed you're not going to get the top brand, you're not going to get premium products, and if you do get what you get, you're going to overpay for it, and it's not going to necessarily be what you wanted. So I'm letting you know, be prepared. Don't rely on the Ice House store. Make sure you have more than enough of the most essential items, when you go up there. Definitely check with your local ranger stations, because one of the other negatives, one of the other worst things about this particular reservoir and the entire El Dorado, area, the forest, in the eastern Sierras right now with California and the fires we're having, is, you do have to have a permit during a lot of the year to have fires, to have certain things, briquettes, such permits are $5, and they are important to get, just so you don't get a fine. We really hope you guys enjoyed this. We have a lot of good things to say about this place. Unfortunately, this is not that video. We're talking about the things where we really don't like these things. They change your experience at the lake. Like I said, that Northwest Trail, that road, that used to be no man's land. Very few people were on that road, and you got to get away from people in the summertime. It was a getaway. That getaway is gone, and there's less and less getaways. Matter of fact, just less and less everywhere in the state of California. So that's a huge bummer. And so hopefully, guys, you like this video, click the subscribe button, click like button. We really appreciate it, guys. We're just trying to help you guys be prepared.